Layla has a beautiful library in her home and buys a new bag of books every month. Finally, the library was no longer full of money, and because she was convinced that reading and knowledge were an effective means for more than half of her library books, she wrote about human development that sought self-realization. If you were in her dark brown house, how would you achieve your goal in 20 days, when you are the most in control of your life? Of course, we will not forget the book on relationships for men from Planet Adventure, from Planet Emerald, but from all the books Layla reads. It does not improve under the influence of various psychological myths. People who believe in it make their lives better due to a cascade of human development content. Choose Perfection, lectures, books, and podcasts all try to draw our attention to reliable knowledge about it, meaning a basis that is not science or anything. What is the difference between real, reliable science and popular science? What are the most famous psychological myths promoted by human development? How do we know the truth? We also differentiate between really good content that can help us improve our lives, and between the commercial content, which remains its target and sells more. But all of this is in the book of today's episode, Psycho Bubble Explore, or There Will Be Psychological Chaos. People and Myths, The Self-Help Generation by Dr. Stephen Bryars. Every true science is based on evidence and foundations. We will find a popular version of it, and this version is not based on evidence, foundations, and experiments. Rather, like psychology, its popular version is human development and self-help, which we will notice is always aimed at achieving more. More happiness, more wealth, more fit body. Does it really help us or create expectations? Is it impossible to deliver it? Although the principles of human development or self-help dominate our general culture and occupy a space in the consciousness of many of us, they have not received sufficient filtering, criticism, or scientific evaluation. But why do people believe her so easily? The truth is for 3 reasons. Firstly, simplicity. Whatever the problem you are suffering from, you will find a book that tells you that you can get rid of it if you do 123. Asterisk 10 days. This simplicity makes most of the solutions impossible to apply in reality. Hours also add to the complexity of the problem. The second reason is the confusion between facts and wishes, meaning, for example, you wish to improve your relationship and your dealings with people, so you find self-help books that tell you to stay positive, smile when someone grimaces at you, if he hits you with his money tomorrow he will get bored, and all of this is to be patient in order to fulfill your wish. But of course the book does not tell you the social truth about communication. As there are people whose nature is harmful, how do you protect yourself from them? As for the third reason for the popularity of human development books, it is that they make us the center of the universe, satiate our ego, and tell us that we can do anything, solve any problem, and deserve all the attention and love that are palliatives in the world. My friend, let's go into the psychological myths promoted by human development and self-help books. We will divide them into 4 types. The first type is myths about the self. The second type is myths about your capabilities. The third type is myths about relationships. And finally, the fourth type is myths about happiness. We will begin, of course, with the first type, which is myths about self. I will ask you a very easy and simple question. Is it possible for a team to take the cup without playing in the final of the tournament just because it sees itself as better than the other team? Of course not. The first myth that remains among us says that the most important thing is self-esteem. If you evaluate yourself correctly, all your problems will be solved, and you will get what you deserve, and of course every one of us will see that he deserves the best thing, and deserves to take the cup without getting tired, because he is exceptional, not like the rest, but who told you that your self-evaluation will be correct, and that it will also agree with the evaluation of others. You have this myth. The result is self-inflation and arrogance, which lead to many hours without real achievement, and you increase the entitlement that we deserve and salvation. Even after all this, you didn't get what you wanted. The psychological pain will be double, so what is the solution? Connecting oneself to realistic actions, such as mastering every new skill, your success in overcoming a problem you encountered, or your defense of an important value or issue. Consider your self-evaluation as a score and give yourself a score for every action you did. In fact, you will tell me that I don't feel it. No, I don't feel that way, my friend, sorry. Since when do we follow our feelings and feelings? Watch it so you can believe me when I tell you myths are prevalent. Is this the second myth? Unleash your feelings, express them, and follow them. Be careful not to keep it, because this will make it take on a more intense and violent form and cause you many psychological and physical problems. The truth is that this is part of the truth. Expressing feelings is important, but not always, and contrary to what is common in expressing feelings, it does not reduce their intensity. If someone is nervous, the more angry he gets and the more he expresses this behavior. His aggressive tendencies increase, and his nervousness increases. Okay, someone like the states of what is in his heart on his tongue, what does he do? He maintains his true feelings inside him and expresses them, but in healthy and safe ways, and this varies according to society. Every society has its own way of regulating emotions and feelings. In loud societies, there is unacceptable behavior, and other societies are more accepting of physical contact rather than words, but the most important thing is that we fall at the mercy of our feelings, and at all times we remain open to the history of emotions and feelings. We are talking about the third myth that will shock and upset many people, which is that emotional intelligence is the most important type of intelligence, and possessing and improving it is the only path to success in life. But the truth is that the definition of emotional intelligence is somewhat ambiguous. It is known that it is a set of characteristics, values, and attributes that make you able to understand your feelings and behaviors and control them. However, real science says that there is no scientific basis for this definition, and even experiments and studies of emotional intelligence are weak. There is no confirmation, and there is no relationship between academic or professional excellence and emotional intelligence. Originally, if you look at most of the leaders and influential figures like Steve Jobs or Musk, you will find them arrogant and confrontational. Consider intelligence as a cake and don't worry about dividing it like that. We got rid of the myths of self. For the second type, we come up with myths about capabilities, and those who believe us are based on them in the name of every month trying to achieve the job target. Hours he succeeds and hours he fails. But when he succeeds, he doesn't feel fun because he is a perfect woman. He believes in perfection, and that he always has something better, and he wants to learn programming, languages, and design in order to receive dollars, paper, and a pen. He has promised to remain with me. Myths. The first is that you are stronger than you think. You can do more than what you have done. You cannot give up or change the path. This is a myth. But in reality, we are weaker than we imagine and vulnerable to fatigue, the father of intelligence and exhaustion. This myth narrows our entire lives to a few things we do, such as work or study, and we prefer carrying the burden all the time, even when we succeed, because we believe we have better, and this allows the losers to achieve, but human development will not prevail, and it will detract from your Uncle Thomas Edison's saying, "I did not fail. I found 999 methods that do not work, but this means that there is no failure at all." But this is another myth that works, but the hour of exams is the wisdom of Bill Gates, because failure is necessary, just like success, as part of the natural learning process, and sometimes it becomes a new starting point when you fail in one thing, so you leave it and enter into others, and also failure. It destroys our ego and makes us think of the limits of our true capabilities. This means that you keep posting pictures that are devoid of your potential. Failure comes and travels. It is about to bring you back to the ground of reality, and you have another chance. Failure, my friend. Distribute the ordinary, and you do not have to take your failure as fuel for success. At the same point where I failed, I tried to remain creative. Let your slogan be, let us forget the failure of the past and fail in new things. As for the third myth, it is that you can learn anything: programming, design, languages, and swimming. Look only at the people who succeeded and imitate their numbers and perceptions. In order to achieve success like them, this is of course not true, because firstly, the entire experience of success remains subconscious. This means, for example, if you came to the world chess champion and told him to teach me what God taught you, instead of making me sell bananas, but he will explain the rules to you, and only the general basics, because he plays the game in his own style automatically and has inexplicable actions and movements. Secondly, the way we process information differs in one who understands quickly, the second learns languages better, and the third is an efficient athlete. Because our brains are different as a result of their interaction with their surroundings, an airplane captain, for example, processes information differently from a philosophy teacher. God, we will not get paid in dollars. No, my friend, not to this degree. Do not be dissuaded by this myth, because I personally want her to be patient with me, but let us be realistic. A little while into the process of learning which skills, not everyone has a specific skill, we still want to imitate him, and so on, we end up with myths about your capabilities. Let's move on to relationships, and the first and biggest myth is that men and women live on different planets. That's why they are completely different from each other. Their outlook on things and their feelings are different, and unfortunately this myth complicates relationships more, and makes each party justify to themselves their shortcomings and say to you, "Oh, you saw a defect that appeared on my planet, not on me." It also opens the door to racial discrimination in work, study, and other fields. So, what is the truth? The truth is that the similarities between a man and a woman are greater and stronger than the differences. Contrary to popular belief, there are no major differences in perception and emotions. No, 1 second, that's it. Wait. Aren't women more emotional than men? No, my friend. Experiments have proven that men and women experience the same emotions and feelings. But it differs in the ways it is expressed and its degree. Enough. We agreed? He said that the woman and the man are on the same planet, so the problems will decrease as long as they are close to each other. Then there will be more problems because they do not talk to each other. Adequacy. Hello, my friend. I love the words of the plane of the world, and they bring me myths to my heart, yes. What is this? The second problem in relationships is that the solution is more talk, but at your discretion. Is the problem solved every time you talk? Actually? Does this make more fire? And each party still wants the other to apologize and be convinced that it was also a mistake on its own? What is the solution? Are we crazy? No, it will accumulate accumulations until they explode all at once. What should we do? Failure in relationships? It is not due to lack of speech, but rather to poor communication. The solution is to improve communication, because it includes speech, physical contact, and support, and this is by stimulating positive feelings, granting acceptance and support, and maintaining physical contact. With a little neglect of small problems, the world will pass away. And it will be just as good. If you are in love and you have to sit down and talk, then choose a suitable time and circumstances. The last type of myths we will talk about are myths about happiness. There are people who are willing to travel to the end of the world to find happiness. I heard the story of the American man who traveled to China looking for Hakim al-Sada. He spent a month moving from place to place until he knew that al-Hakim's place was on a high mountain. He looked up until he climbed it and reached the top. While dying, he met the wise man and his translator servant. So he asked him, "Tell me, what is the secret of happiness, O wise man of happiness?" The man answered in such depth, and the translator said to me, "The American, let your goals drive you to success." But the American was a Google Translate operator, and al-Hakim came out in the first place. He said, I don't know at all, Hakeem. The important thing is that what a translator said is the most famous myth about happiness, because many times we do not know how to set our goals accurately at all. Even if we set big goals, we ignore the small details that could make us improve. This means that the goal is to remain the best person at work. He may miss out on small experiences and feelings that you can experience in the process of learning and dealing with your colleagues. Also, big goals create a false sense of priority and narrow the field of vision. You will not feel happy unless you achieve them, and if you fail, you will be frustrated. Well, the situation is that you do not link happiness to achieving the big goals that you set, and accept that our goals are constantly changing. What you wanted yesterday will not continue to want tomorrow. It is better to be grateful for the small details in your life and be satisfied with what God has blessed you with and you have achieved. Would you tell me why green is enough negativity and be a little positive? Don't you know that whoever thinks about something positively will win it? Oh, of course you know, and you know that it's also another myth because positive feelings and thoughts will not be created. A positive and happy reality. No, on the contrary, it makes you feel an imaginary success and relax like this. Why do you even work? As long as the world is beautiful, it is only in reality that there is a gap between reality and supplication, and the greater this gap becomes, the more the psychological pain increases. I mean, I don't look at the half-full cup, sir. Look, it's normal. But you have to know that it's still half as it is. Negative and sad feelings and thoughts are also natural, and there must be a positive problem going through them. So you will say, I am not convinced. I will remain positive, and no one will be able to influence me. Ha ha ha. He said, are you laughing at me, Green? You're laughing at him. Sorry, my friend, I swear to God, this is actually a myth. We are all affected by others, and we cannot fully control our response to them, as evidenced by the fact that if I ask you about the 3 most influential situations in your life, you will find them include dealing with people. How come no one can influence you? Oh man? Dana in this episode affected you. Finally, I am tired of the superstitions, and I hope that you are not paralyzed by me, my friend. You are not a stranger. But you must take care of the content you hear or read. Always filter the thoughts in your mind to differentiate between the useful things that will help you improve your life and the things that will harm you and ruin your life more than they are wasteful and just that.